Hi, welcome back to Noni's Crafty Kids. Today I wanted to share some thoughts and ideas and suggestions about the dragon scale bracelet. This is something that's pretty easy to do, and you can make a lot of variations if you just know a few things about it. So let's get started. Maybe you've already made one or two dragon scale bracelets. They're very popular and very easy because while you can make them on the Rainbow Loom, you can also just make them on your fingers using 4 fingers or using a fork or a handful of pens or chopsticks or just about anything you can wrap a rubber band around. This particular one that I'm holding was made using 9 pegs on the Rainbow Loom. You can make them bigger. This mug hugger that I like a lot was made using the full length of the Rainbow Loom, using 13 pegs. So I'm just going to very quickly show you the basics, along with a hint or two that I've found make the dragon scale just a little easier to manage. I'm going to use 2 contrasting colors, and that is itself the first hint. I find that it's much easier to keep the dragon scale under control if you use contrasting colors and begin with just 2. One that goes on every other peg and another that goes on the alternate pegs. That way, if you lose your place, it's very easy to track it down, figure out what you've done. The second hint, when you make a dragon scale, basic instructions say that you twist the rubber bands as you first put them on the loom, so that you would go like this on that first row, and then take your contrasting colors and go like that. Okay, so they're all in figure 8s. And after your first row is down and you've looped across, all the following rows go on without the twist. Okay, that works. But I have found, here's a hint. Instead of just twisting once, twist twice. That just makes a nicer, neater finish to your rows. So you don't have lots of loose bands on that very first row when you take it off your loom. It might not make a whole lot of sense looking at it right now, but I think you'll find that it will make a big difference as you produce your dragon scale projects. Okay, so there's a row of 3, and I'm going to make this a 5-peg bracelet. Well, 5-peg project, because we probably won't work it long enough to make it into a bracelet. But you could. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Okay, the second thing you all know from the rules is you hook from front to back. And you do not go down inside the pegs on the dragon scale. Rather, you grab it from outside and lift it all the way over. That's a rule you want to remember. So many kids, when they first begin their first, well, that didn't need to be twisted at all. they make their first dragon scale, they want to go down inside like they've done for their triple single and the other Rainbow Loom bracelets. But on the dragon scale, it just doesn't hold together like that. So we go from the outside. Now you see I'm reaching here where the channel is on the peg, and that allows me to grab the lowest band and lift it up and over. It also helps to place a finger on the top band. That reduces the risk of flipping that top band off as you lift the bottom band up and over. Okay, we'll do the greens. And now you see this pink one on this end and the pink one on that end. Stay put. Your ends only are lifted on every other row. So we take that one up and over. This, up and over. Here we are, up and over. And this one, up and over. One last time, and then we'll move on to another idea. The pink, come here, up and over. All right, now let's see what we've produced here. This one up and over. The dragon scale comes out the back, from the front to the back. And here you can see that very first row that we did, because it was twisted twice. This is loose, but it's still caught in a nice twist. Here's this one, nicely twisted, and there's the end. It just produces a neater row at the very beginning and makes it easier to connect, whether you're using C-clips or casting off. However you finish your bracelet, those twists give you a little advantage. Okay, that's the basic method for making the dragon scale. Let's move over here where I've already started one. Turn it around this way. And I've used 4 colors. Okay, did I just ignore that first hint that I gave you? Not really, because my 4 colors are pink, gray, blue, and white. So we could put those into 2 categories. We have the colorful bands, pink and blue, and then we have the plain bands, the gray and white. So on every alternate row, there's a color and a plain, and a color and a plain. So it goes pink, gray, blue, white, pink, gray, blue, white. So that order is very simple, and it's easy to see where you're supposed to be at each time. Here I have blue bands on the end, but I have white on the pegs through the center. We know that the blue bands don't always aren't moved on every row, but these inner ones are. So since there's white bands here, we know that the next row needs to be a color band, either blue or pink. We've got blue here on the ends, which tells us the next row is going to be pink. Okay, but you already knew that, because you've made dragon scale before. what I wanted to show you is this. It's fun to add beads to your dragon scale just by slipping a band through the center of a plastic bead, and this particular kind of bead is called a pony bead, and they're very inexpensive. You can get these at the craft store, at your discount store. Just most of the places that sell the Rainbow Loom will have pony beads in the craft department as well. So then we just use these exactly the way. Use an ordinary band. Put them over the top. Every other peg. Just the way you would do a plain rubber band. This one doesn't want to separate. There we go. See how they're on there? I might have chosen brighter colors to show up a little bit more clearly. See if I can get that in a really good focus. Like that. And now we're going to loop it just as we would any other dragon scale. But since there's a bead there, you want to keep that rubber band on this side of the bead. Don't let it come over here. Just arrange it so it falls right there. Okay, the next one. Up and over. There we have. Now you have a row of beads. Now I prefer to have some space between the different rows of beads. So what I'm going to do now is put on the next row. This was a color, so the next one will be plain. After pink comes gray. So we're going to add some gray rubber bands. Wasn't quite as prepared as I should have been. All right. This goes on the alternate rows. Just like that. We don't do the end. We do this one. Up and over. Now there's no problem. It's not trying to slip over the top of the bead. Up and over. Up and over. All right. Now I'm going to do another row. This one will be blue. The colors, both blue and pink, all go on top of each other in the pattern that I'm making. All right. Get my looping here. Three, 4, 5, 6. Okay. There we are. Now I have 2 rows of bands following that row with beads. Now I'm going to put alternate beads on the next row. Since I have a color, I want a plain. After blue comes white. So find my white rubber bands with beads. Whip it on. All right, we're ready to loom. This one stays put. Bring the blue over the white. 2, 3, and 4. There we are. And we're ready for pink again. This time again, I'm putting on plain pink bands. 1, 2, and 3. This will show you how to incorporate a pattern of beads into your rainbow looming dragon scale design. Because you don't want your beads so close together that they interfere with each other. There's 2 rows of beads nicely spaced. After pink comes gray. You only need 2 bands. Okay, ready to loop them. There, now we have 2 rows of bands. After these white beads, we have pink row and the gray row. So we're ready for the blue row, and now we can have beads on the blue row. And back to looping. Again, this is the one where you want to keep that band on the outside of the bead, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, that stays outside the bead. Okay, after the blue comes white. One, 2, 3, 4. And you can see how our bead pattern is developing here. We have a row of 3 beads, a row of 2 beads, a row of 3 beads. Now, next we put on the pink plain rubber bands. One, 2, 3. Wouldn't it be nice if all of the Rainbow Loom bracelet designs moved this quickly? A 6-peg dragon scale really builds nice and quickly, and you have a bracelet before you know it. 4, 5, 6. Okay, 2 rows after the beaded row, so we're ready for beads again, and this time it's the gray. And this will be our last beaded row for this bracelet, because this completes our beading design. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's put one more blue row on there so you can see how the design finishes up. 1, 2, 3, and bring them all over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there you have the completed beaded design. We have 3 and 2 and 3 and 2. We could actually put another row of 3 on here and finish out. That would bring it more even on both sides. So, but I will finish that off camera and show the completed bracelet at the very end of this video. But that allows you to see the technique. Now, you can see that I've taken the Rainbow Loom apart, and I'm just using one of the bars because that's all you need for the dragon scale design. But that's also kind of nifty because you can share one with a friend or 2 friends, or you can do what I've done here. Here I have a giant Rainbow Loom arrangement. Now I'm going to pull the camera back so you can see what I've done. I've taken 2 of the bars of my Rainbow Loom and connected them right here in the center onto the base, so that here's one bar of the Rainbow Loom with 13 pegs, and here's the other bar of the Rainbow Loom with 13 pegs. I bring them together. Here's where they meet, right here in the center, so that I end up with a 26 peg bar. And I can do a very, very long or very, very wide dragon scale project. So here we are. There's the center in better focus with the camera still. How I fasten those bars together on my Rainbow Loom base. So all of this looming, this dragon scale, is 26 pegs of the dragon scale loom. And this could eventually be a purse or a shopping bag or a placemat or any number of things that you want to make that's wider. So also, this is done exactly the same way, using the same every other peg pattern and working with just 2 colors. You get this beautiful netting effect. You can also work patterns. I'm going to turn this around. Use the back of this to help you see the patterns. Okay, in this section, from here to here, I've successfully woven 1 line of black, 1 line of red, 1 line of black, 1 line of red. But what happened here? Can you see the mistake? Beginning right here, I had a line of black, and instead of switching to red, I put another line of black. I also made the mistake of putting that second black one on the same pegs as the previous black one. In other words, I did not alternate the spaces on the Rainbow Loom. So I ended up with this configuration. Let's see if I can stretch it and make it a little more obvious. There, that's good. When I saw what I had done, instead of saying, oh, I made a mistake, I've got to change that, I said, well, that's interesting. That creates a totally different pattern. So I did it again with the next 2 rows of red, and then returned to every other for 3 black rows. And then I did the alternate pattern again on that next red row. This is how patterns are born, usually by accident. And so we end up with a variation in the dragon scale design. You can also see that the openings are bigger, and that may or may not be useful depending on what you're going to use the project for. Then I thought, well, what else can I do with this design? So I thought, let's try red, white, and blue. So here is my effort at a red, white, and blue design. And you can decide for yourself whether you like that or not, or if that's something you want to work into one of your own patterns. So, now, I have no idea what to use this great big piece of rainbow looming for. It may not be useful for anything at all. Or it might be interesting useful for a shopping bag, or a sleeve to wear on your arm, like a gauntlet, or a legging to put on your leg, like greave, which is the piece of armor that protects the warrior's lower leg, a greave. But in order to do a bag, or a gauntlet, or a greave, any of those things, we need to bring this end, the original end, up and connect it to the final end. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. We're going to move this giant loom all the way down here and begin putting the first row back onto the last row. Okay, so I'm going to find these black bands that were twisted and put them on here, just like this. Okay, do you see here? I've got 2 bands on this peg, 2 bands on this peg, 2 bands on this peg. Now, I'm not going to use the red bands because, as you know, when we make the dragon scale, we put one color all the way down and then lay the second color on the alternate pegs. So as we join, my last color here was black, and my first color here is black. So I'm just going to put these black loops on the pegs to match the last ones. Then we will cast off using red loops. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this all the way down, putting the original rainbow bands onto the pegs where they were at the very beginning, on top of the very last row. So we'll fast forward from here. There we are. I've looped the beginning black bands back onto the pegs of the Rainbow Loom. So I'm right down here at the 25th and 26th, and that's the last of the original rubber bands. So now what we're going to do is called casting off, and this is how it's done. It's the same type of process that we use in crochet and knitting. This is specifically a crochet technique, since we're using one hook instead of 2 crochet needles. Now, on this final step, we put the hook down through the Rainbow Loom, down through the channel in the peg, and make a slip knot. And then we lift those loops off the first peg. Get another rubber band, reach down through, get those 2 loops. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. Let's get a focus shot of that. Okay? Now they just came up off the peg. That's fine. I'm going to take the second red rubber band, draw it through all 3. Draw it through itself, make a slip knot. Okay? Now we have that one on our hook. Bring it down through the channel on the 3rd peg. Grab a new red loop, draw it through all 3. Lift off the peg, bring that new loop through itself. That's our 3rd stitch. Okay? Keep repeating that process all the way down the loom for all 26 pegs. So as each set of rubber bands comes off the Rainbow Loom, it's securely caught, and we are casting off our work. So we'll fast forward again. So here we are, ready to cast off the last 3 stitches, or we should say the last 3 sets of Rainbow Loom rubber bands. And with a project this big, when you get it finally finished, you feel like there should be balloons and music and celebrating. Because it's been a long time coming and a lot of work successfully accomplished. And there we are. Now, that's in a slip knot. You put the loom aside. Now you can take that and work it back in. And there you have, right now, it looks like a very silly muff big enough for both hands, big enough to slide your foot into. Here is the cast off seam with all those red bands. We can turn that to the other side where it looks very neat. And you wouldn't even notice it was there. What stands out is that red, white, and blue stripe that we put in there. And here are the other two alternate patterns. Now you could close up one end and use it for a cover for a great big Slurpee mug or a milk carton, or to carry your tools in. I don't have plans for this particular project, but now you know the method and the technique and how to make a really big Rainbow Loom bag or mat when you want one. Through the magic of video, I can show you the finished beaded project. I did put another row of 3, and then I simply continued the pattern without beads until it matched the length of the opposite side. Now I can show you how to join these two sides and cast off, and this method is just slightly different than the one we used on the red and black project. So here I've finished a row of 3 blues, and then I added the next row of 2 white bands. So the next in the pattern would be the pink bands, which is what I started with at the very beginning. So we'll do the same thing as we did on the gigantic red and black project. We'll hook the first row back onto the Rainbow Loom. And since I only have 3 bands that are going over 6 pegs, I'll try to do that on camera without looking too terribly awkward. Here's one. Find the next band. Here's the right end. And I noticed that between the time that I began this video and then paused it, finished the red and black project, and have come back, I have been working on Easter eggs. So what you see on my thumbnail and my other fingers is wax that I've been using on my Easter eggs. So I apologize for that. Creativity is a very messy process. All right, here we are on the last rubber band, and I want to try to get the right loop here. Well, that one just came off. Slip that on again, try to keep a finger over it. And looking at this mess of rubber bands, try to figure out which one is the right one. Here we go. And that's my dog outside. There we go. And it's popped off this one too. And look and see. All right, now I have 2 bands on each peg with the pink bands on top. So now we're going to cast off, and this time I'm not going to use an additional rubber band. I'm just going to cast off with the ones we have here. So I'm going to bring this lower band up through the pink band. So when I bring this off, it's caught in this blue band. Now the blue band gets placed on the preceding peg. I'm going to take the second band. I can point out here that now there are 3 bands on this peg. I'm going to take the middle one from the outside, bring it up and over like we normally do for the dragon scale. But then I'm going to come down through the center of the peg, catch the bottom band, bring it through that blue band, and place this one on the preceding peg. And now this blue band can come off, and it's caught the way we want it to be. All right, here we are, 3 bands on this peg. From the outside, bring the middle one up and over. Go down from the inside, grab the bottom one, draw it through, put it on the preceding peg. And get that caught securely, and now this one comes off. 3 bands from the outside, take the middle band, cast off. Go down through the middle, grab the bottom band, bring it up and through, and put it on the preceding peg. And now you can cast off the last band. Only 2 more pegs to go. Get the camera in focus. Sometimes the automatic focus does not want to cooperate with me. All right, we're coming from the outside. Grab the center band, up and over. Go down through the center, grab the bottom band. Draw it out, put it on the preceding peg. Now we can cast off that one. And now here we are on the very last peg. Come from the outside, grab the center band, up and over. Now go down through the center, grab the bottom one, and bring it out. And now you can cast off. And now we have this one, and we can't just drop it because it's not secured to anything. Okay, I'm going to come back down an extra row through these pink bands. Catch 2 of them here. Okay, now I've got 3 of them. Let's try again. There. Now I'm just going to grab the middle of this band and draw that through the other stitch, grab itself, and draw through itself and pull tight. Let me show you that again, because that's a little different than anything we've done before. Here's the last rubber band from our casting off. Now, I'm going to just put it through 2 rubber bands somewhere to the side. It doesn't really matter which 2 you catch. You just want it to be secure. Okay, we'll choose those pink ones. I'm going to grab the middle of that band and make a loop out of these 2. Draw that through. Okay, see how I have that here? Now I'm going to grab this loop and pull it through and pull it tight. That makes a slip knot. And now pull it really tight so it's secure. Okay, that will not pull out. It's a good knot. This is a nice place to put a charm, or you can just weave it back in. In crochet and knitting, we often weave the ends back in, or you can even, if you want to make sure it's super, super secure, you can do that process again and make it a double knot. And that through there. Catch the loop, bring it through, give it a tug. Now, that won't come out at all. And there you have a very pretty bracelet. It's very large for a bracelet. I didn't have to make it all this big, but at this size, this could be a baby's headband or an anklet or any number of uses. So there you have several projects and several new techniques to make your dragon scale Rainbow Loom projects even better. I'll look forward to seeing notes from you with the creations you've made using the techniques I showed you today. If you like the videos we have on Moni's Crafty Kids, please go down and check the like at the bottom of the screen. And you can subscribe to Noni's Crafty Kids so you get the latest projects as we post them. I do need to tell you that we're going to take a bit of a hiatus right now because at this time we are in late March as I'm making these videos, and Easter is approaching. So we're going to take a hiatus. We're going to take a break from rainbow looming, and we're going to explore some techniques for making Easter eggs. Those tutorials will also be posted on Noni's Crafty Kids, and I hope you enjoy those, in addition to enjoying our Rainbow Loom projects. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.